January 28th, 2015 meeting of the Ways and Means Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Andrews? Mr. Baroth? Dr. Carbone? Mr. Daniele? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Haney? Ms. Cayley? Dr. Quattro? Mr. Rocco? Mr. Tucciarello? Chairman Yolovich.
Here. Legislator Rocco, would you be kind enough to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any speakers signed up for the public forum?
There's not.
Is there anyone here who would like to address this committee at this time? Seeing none or hearing none, the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the minutes from the December 17th, 2014 meeting in front of you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Next item is new business. Madam Clerk.
Referral 15-0004.
Moved by Legislator Rocco, seconded by Legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0005.
Moved by Legislator Tucciarello, seconded by Legislator Quattro. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, Mr. Chairman, how much does each office generally get each year from this program?
Through the Chair, Commander Phelps, and Sheriff's Office. Funds are derived through the Equitable Sharing Program from asset forfeitures through criminal investigations, typically in concert with the U.S. Attorney's Office and federal agencies, usually the Drug Enforcement Task Force. Depending on how those funds were acquired, they could be divided between Granite Task Force or solely upon the Sheriff's Office. Granted. The funds vary each year depending on the investigations that are going forward. In joint ventures going forward with the federal government, this may have no effect on us. This affects primarily self-initiated investigations in which cash or other assets are located during the investigation.
How much does the Sheriff's Office and the DA's office, like last year, derive from the program?
Through the Chair, in 2014, the Sheriff's Office was paid out $18,240.
Do we know, through the Chair, do we know how much the DA's office derived?
Through the Chair, the DA's office got just over $58,000 last year.
And through the Chair, what did the DA's office do with $58,000?
Through the Chair, there's a variety of things that we did. The money carried from the previous year as well. We purchased some vehicles, gave money to some community programs, and used a lot of the money towards trial expenses like witness protection and witness travel.
Through the Chair, you say you gave some of the money to community groups?
Through the Chair, that's correct.
What kind of community groups?
Through the Chair, the Boys and Girls Club, Teen Court, Crime Stoppers, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Thank you.
Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. Through the Chair of the Administration, this matter came before the Public Safety Committee on Monday, and I had a few questions back then. And however, I want to follow up a question that you just responded to here. Through the Chair, you mentioned that between the Sheriff's Office and the DA's office, the county received approximately $76,000 last year. But when I asked the very same question In public safety, I was informed that the county received a total of $32,000 last year. Is there any explanation for why that had a different response on Monday?
Here, I answered for the sheriff's office, and I answered the 2002 amounts because I didn't have the 13 and 14 amounts yet.
Okay.
It's very sporadic with the amounts.
Thank you. That does clarify. Thank you very much. And then through the chair to the administration, I also asked about whether or not the Attorney General holder's new policy might have an impact on anticipated revenues in this coming year. And I was informed that on Monday, the DA's office actually received a letter regarding this from guidance from the Buffalo office. And I was wondering, and in fact I said I would ask this again today, what did we learn from that letter, and do we anticipate any changes in the upcoming year?
Through the chair, a written response was provided to the clerk of the legislature this morning.
Thank you. I have, of course, I'm unaware of that. So through the chair of the administration, can you provide a synopsis of what the effect might be in the coming year? Because I've not seen the letter yet.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I haven't seen the letter yet. Okay. Excuse me. I think we might be able to have somebody provide you an answer.
Good evening, through the chair. Last year, for example, the 2014 fiscal year, there were 41 seizures, if you will, that involved the Department of Justice. 25 of those were considered adoptive forfeitures, which are directly impacted by the recent policy change at the Department of Justice. 15 of them were other types of seizures that would not be affected by the current policy change. The amount of revenue received as a result of those two different types of seizures are, from what we've been able to tell so far, are approximately equal. It's approximately 50% for each type of seizure. But it's impossible to tell what impact it will have on the future because the amounts of seizures vary from year to year.
Okay. So through the chair of the administration, while we won't know the extent of the impact, it is reasonable to expect that there will be some significant decline, however. It might vary dramatically year from year, but it will be a decline of some variety. Is that correct, through the chair?
Through the chair, that's certainly a possibility. Again, it depends entirely on the types of investigations that occur during the course of the year, and whether those investigations include, for example, task force members that encompass federal agents, in which case the seizures will not be affected at all, or whether they're investigations that are conducted solely by local law enforcement, in which case those may not be eligible for seizure through the Department of Justice.
Okay. Then through the chair of the administration, I appreciate your response, and I realize it's very difficult to predict the future. However, through the chair of the administration, am I correct to assume then that any funds we might potentially receive from this process are always not counted upon before they actually arrive? So they would go to things that we don't have to worry about if we don't have the same level of funding, correct?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to clarify. The memo in question was delivered to my office, and I have an email here referencing it, saying that it was going to be included in the memo that I typically provide this body prior to the legislature meeting. If you'd like it sooner than that, I'm more than willing to provide that.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0006, amendment.
Moved by Legislator Quattro, seconded by Legislator Daniele. Any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The referral indicates that this is for a period from April of 2014 to March of 2015, which is a 12-month period that is almost over. Does this imply then that the state has not paid us anything yet for court security services this year?
Mr. Chairman, the short answer is that is correct. No checks have actually been delivered by the state of New York to the county. Claims have been submitted throughout this period. There has been negotiations between the county and the state grant managers regarding this and the back claiming of fringe benefits. And those negotiations have been ongoing and have been somewhat favorable.
Through the chair, is the delay due to delays at the unified court system?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the delays are pretty much on the state's shoulders, not the county's.
Right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Legislator Kaley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration. I just wanted to get a clarification as to, is this the security in the entire building or just within the courts themselves?
Through the chair, Kristen Musso from the Sheriff's Office. This encompasses the Hall of Justice, the Court Security Bureau, court security deputies within the Hall of Justice.
All right, so through the chair, all of the security within the Hall of Justice.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Their salaries and wages within the
Thank
Court
you.
Security Bureau.
And I would ask, has the backlog or not receiving this funding led to any changes or I don't want to say detriment because I think that the service supplied is excellent, but has it led to changes in the way that numbers of staffing or anything to that order?
Through the chair, the Court Security Bureau continues to maintain the maximum staffing that the state will allow. We have put in a request for 16 additional positions, which are due to vacancies and retirements over the past 3 years, which has been approved. And in June, we will be initiating a court academy, which we'll be hiring 16 new deputies.
All right, thank you. That's all.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0007.
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0008.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Carbone. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0009.
Moved by legislator Carbone, seconded by legislator Rocco. Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, I used to serve on the Transportation Committee, and so I've noted in the past that when we had these sort of referrals, the design service and special services tend to break down with the design services being at a much higher rate, much higher cost. And in this one, I've noticed that the special services are, well, disproportionately high, and I was wondering what was the reason for this?
Through the chair, I think it's primarily due to the type of project that we're doing, the preventive maintenance. We need to get more of the pavement cores to see the condition of the pavement, and that will then drive up the special services cost as compared to the design cost.
Thank you. And through the chair of the administration, and particularly since it's like 4 or 5 different towns involved over a wide area, I assume that's part of the problem as well, or part of the cost?
It's really more towards the type of project it is, more so than that it's because it's in different towns. It's going to the cores cost the same no matter where you are.
Okay, fair enough. And then finally, through the chair of the administration, what is the timeline on these projects to be completed?
Through the chair, we will initiate the design this year, and the construction dollars are available federally and in our CIP right now for 2017.
2017, construction season, correct?
Construction 2017.
Thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0010.
Moved by legislator Rocco, seconded by legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0011.
Moved by legislator Tucciarello, seconded by legislator Quattro. Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, on this referral, I note that there's a large number of things that are being looked at for review, wing walls, head walls, approaches, and guide railing. If these are all being reviewed, how is it we can estimate the cost being approximately $300,000?
Now, through the chair, the consultant will look at all these. We don't anticipate maybe necessarily having to replace or all of that or do reconstruction on all of it, but we want it all to be looked at. But we anticipate that just to be a culvert project and maybe replace some guide rail, and it'll be minimal in terms of the roadway approaches, and if we can reline it, which is a possibility, then there won't be wing wall work. So it depends on what ends up the consultant and we decide based on their review what we can do. So we want to look at everything, and then we end up deciding what to be done, and we think it's going to still be in this cost range.
Thank you. So through the chair of the administration, just so I'm clear, now we actually don't expect many of these things to require much work at all. We're just checking to make sure.
Fair statement, through the chair.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0012.
Moved by legislator Quattro, seconded by legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0013.
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0014.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Carbone. Legislator Baroth, you're stifling my tempo. Go ahead.
Try to avoid that. But thank you so much for allowing me to ask these questions. Through the chair of the administration, I noticed that the referral includes preliminary engineering services, and I don't really necessarily need to know what they all are. My question is, are there any non-preliminary engineering services that we're expecting to arise at a later date?
Through the chair, no, that's preliminary and final design.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0015.
Moved by legislator Carbone, seconded by legislator Rocco. Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, I know that the system in this referral is meant to be supplemented with and to integrate with the New York State DOT. Does that mean that we or our system will get the feed from the New York State Department of Transportation from Monroe County?
Through the chair, we do now at the RTOC. We can see their cameras and they can see our cameras.
So that will continue?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0016.
Moved by legislator Rocco, seconded by legislator Tucciarello. Any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How much higher were the immunization rates in the participating schools as opposed to the non-participating schools, roughly?
Through the chair, the goal is to increase that by 10%.
I'm sorry?
Through the chair, the goal is to increase that by 10%.
By just 10%?
Yes. Through the chair, we realize that between all school-age children, roughly we have only about half of those children who are receiving appropriately their influenza, on an annual basis. So if it's roughly about 50%, increasing that by 10% would be huge given the number of children that are impacted by that.
So 50% of children in the non-participating schools were immunized and 55% in the participating schools?
Through the chair, for clarification, the goal is through the program to increase from baseline, I guess maybe 10%. So for those schools, we know that roughly it's about, 50%? And so by having this intervention where you're coming on schools, and you're vaccinating, the goal is that ideally you'll probably be able to increase that by about 10%. and some of that is based upon preliminary data that we did with a similar project, several years ago. Not only us, but also some similar data from Denver, Colorado, which was funded by the federal government.
What are the participating schools?
Through the chair, I mean, we did 10 schools in the Rochester City School District and about 10 schools in the suburbs, just for this first year, this being our first season that we were on site administering that. While this is the third year of the grant, the first 2 years we spent a lot of time really coming up with the model and also having dialogue with the state about how to implement this in the schools, given some of the regulatory requirements. The goal, this year we basically vaccinated about 800 or so students, and then we intend to do about double that number next year. Ultimately, by the time that the grant is done, we would like to offer this to all schools in the county, realizing that even though you may offer this to all schools and counties, many of them may choose for whatever reason not to participate, or if the school does choose to participate, many families may choose for whatever reason not to participate in that program.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0017.
Moved by legislator Tucciarello, seconded by legislator Quattro. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0018.
Moved by legislator Quattro, seconded by legislator Daniele. Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, how many clients are served in the program? In the last year, for example?
Through the chair, we roughly serve about 3 to 350 families, clients, I guess maybe during the year during the program. That number obviously maybe varies, from at any given month, so that number is, if you will, kind of like an average. With that number changing, some of that's impacted by the fact that you have new clients that are entering into the program. You have other clients who are graduating. And then, of course, you have other clients for various reasons who may leave the program. So that's an average number.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0019.
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0020.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Carbone. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It would appear that the funding being made available for the program is increasing by more than 10%, which is a little unusual in this day and age. Is there a reason why the funding being made available for this is going up that much?
Through the chair. The increase is due to the community services for the elderly funding that's included in the elder abuse funding. It's also a formula that's directed by NYSOFA with regards to the increase in older adults in our community.
So through the chair, the fact that our money's going up substantially, does that mean that in some other counties the money's going down? Is it an allocation process?
It is an allocation process. It's through the chair, sorry. There's a formula and an allocation process. It is potentially that some money has, it's with so much money in the cookie jar, if it goes one place, it has to come out of somewhere else.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0021.
Moved by legislator Carbone, seconded by legislator Rocco. Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, I realize that we have to adjust the 2014 grant budget, operating grant budget, if we accept this grant. My question is this grant already part of the 2015 budget?
Mr. Chairman, this is the time of year, January and even into February, when these referrals come up. We do have the ability, and we take advantage of that ability, to amend the 2014 budget. Come later February and March, you'll see these referrals amending only the 2015 budget.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0022.
Moved by legislator Rocco, seconded by legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0023.
Moved by legislator Tucciarello, seconded by legislator Quattro. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0025.
Moved by legislator Quattro, seconded by legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0027.
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0029.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Carbone. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These various projects for the Rochester Pure Waters District, are we at the same time going to be enacting bond resolutions to finance all of these, or are some of these being done on a cash capital basis?
Through the chair, these are going to be bonded.
So the whole batch of them is going to be bonded?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0031. Increase in improvement of
What happened to
facilities.
2.9, or did we just do 2.9? I apologize. Moved by legislator Carbone, seconded by legislator Rocco. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0033.
Moved by legislator Rocco, seconded by legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0035.
Moved by legislator Tucciarello, seconded by legislator Quattro. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0037.
Moved by legislator Quattro, seconded by legislator Daniele. Or is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0039.
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by legislator Draw. Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, why are we acquiring this property? I realize it's adjacent to the airport on the Bean Road side, but why are we in particular acquiring this property?
Through the chair, the property is in the runway protection zone for runway 10-8.
How much property, through the chair, how much property do we intend to buy on all sides of the airport? Do we have a map of the properties we're going to be acquiring? I mean, last month, or earlier this month, we authorized the property across the road from the airport. I mean, are we just going to be acquiring all this property whenever it comes on the market?
Legislator Haney, I think we're kind of drifting away from this resolution, or referral, excuse me.
I'm trying to find out what our intent is.
Well, our intent in this resolution is, or referral is to buy 672 Bean Road. Any further discussion?
Well, I
Legislator Baroth?
was going to vote for it, Mr. Chairman, but if I can't get an answer to my question, I'll vote no.
Through the chairman, the master plan that the FAA has approved for the airport includes all the runway protection zones, which again are a priority for the FAA to for the airports to control. And the master plan update it contains these runway protection zones and the properties that are within. Again, the FAA would encourage us to own or control, and I'll caveat that with, by control, whatever is put on, or whatever property owner wants to use the property for, the airport would have a say in what they could do with it.
Legislator, I'm sorry, Mr. Haney.
Chair, how many properties do we intend to purchase?
Listen, I'm not going to let that go. We're talking about 672 Bean Road, and let's stick to 672 Bean Road. Is there any other questions about 672 Bean Road? Well, it's not relevant. It's relevant only to 672 Bean Road and this particular referral. If you want to talk about how many we're going to buy, send a letter to the Aviation Administration or whatever and find out what's going on. But let's just talk about this one. Now, do you have more questions about this referral? Legislator Baroff.
Question about this, actually. Through the chair of the administration, past properties we bought for the airport authority, there was a plan to utilize the property for revenues of some variety. Is there any intention either now or in the future to utilize this property for revenue?
Through the chairman, the FAA would encourage us to always seek the best use, and especially a revenue generation or revenue generating purpose for any properties that we have. The FAA mandates that we maximize as much non-aeronautical revenue as possible as per our grant assurances with them.
Thank you. But I realize that, but through the chair of the administration, in your process for seeking a revenue enhancement use for this particular property, have you identified any possibilities of revenue enhancement for this particular property?
Through the chairman, for this particular property, no.
Thank you.
Legislator Andrews.
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman, to explain my vote as well. I'm going to vote no on this too, just because I find it particularly disturbing that a question that's entirely relevant to and germane to buying property around the airport, which is what this is, can't be answered, especially when the representatives from the airport have the answer to that question. And I think that's disrespectful.
I understand
to this
that,
body.
but it was my decision that we're going to stick to the referral. So, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Ms. Andrews? Mr. Baroff? Dr. Carbone? Mr. Daniele? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Haney? Ms. Cayley? Dr. Quattro? Mr. Rocco? Mr. Tucciarello? Chairman Yolovich?
Yes.
9-2, referral passes.
Next item, please.
Referral 15-0040.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Carbone. Legislator Baroff.
Chairman, I just want to disclose I'm employed by RIT.
And
it's awesome.
Any further discussion? Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could ask through you to the administration that you are targeting certain neighborhoods, and how are you deciding on the neighborhoods that you're targeting?
Through the chair, Bob Burns from the Office of Probation. The team that RIT has put together, a dispute team, if you will be identifying the neighborhoods or the specific subjects or locations that will get attention based on this, and it has everything to do with intelligence about conflicts that may increase to the level of violence of using guns or other acts of violence. So it's this team, the dispute team, will be making the decisions.
Thank you. And through the chair, are you anticipating that the targeted neighborhoods will be within the city limits, or will they be a cross-section?
Through the chair, the United States Department of Justice grant is restricting this to city limits, so it'll only be in the city of Rochester.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0042.
Moved by Legislator Carbone, seconded by Legislator Rocco. Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This contract is for forensic pathology services, but the individual being contracted with is located in Goshen, New York, which is down in, or Goshen, I guess it is, which is down in the Catskills. How is he going to be able to provide timely services to the medical examiner if he's in Goshen?
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
Through the chair, that would include him actually, coming up, I guess, maybe to Rochester in order to do the work. And, arguably, he would be limited in terms of what his availability would be to do this. So we would anticipate that, that could include, Friday evenings, I guess maybe through Sunday evening, as an example.
Will we be paying, through the chair, will we be paying his travel expenses?
Through the chair, we have provided, just, an amount, that really focuses on maybe the caseload per case and also on specific work that he would do that it was here. So no, that would not specifically include, paying for his travel.
Is there no one local that could provide this service?
Through the chair, we issued an RFQ and he was the sole respondent.
So through the chair, if the medical examiner needs some pathology services, let's say unfortunately there's a murder tonight, and the medical examiner needs some pathology services tomorrow, how does, and this man doesn't happen to be in town tomorrow, how do we get the services?
Through the chair, we have currently right now 2 full-time forensic pathologists, I guess maybe on board. We've been advertising, I guess maybe for 2 additional forensic pathologists, and part of the idea is that nationwide, you have a relatively limited number of board certified forensic pathologists, and so to that extent, we've been doing what we can on our part in terms of advertising, using some of the relationships, that our medical examiner has of other forensic pathologists in the state of New York as well as elsewhere. So I think we're doing what we can to sort of maybe read that need, and in the interim, this contract maybe allows us to actually provide maybe some capacity, and they have, if you will, maybe the skill set and the requisite certifications in order to do the appropriate work.
So through the chair, may I assume that the medical examiner has enough pathology work that is not time sensitive that can be put on hold to wait this individual's arrival? That there's enough work that is not time sensitive that this would not be a problem?
Through the chair, I mean, the work is time sensitive just by the very nature of the work that's required, based upon deaths and the types of cases, that come in, but also with regards to some of the information that has to be coordinated with other agencies, including the DA and the Sheriff's Office. That being said, I mean, obviously, given the circumstances that we're in, like right now, our pathologists that we currently have right now are working pretty diligently in order to meet maybe what the demands are. Despite, the fact that we are also, as I mentioned earlier, trying to recruit other pathologists. And in the meantime, that's the reason why this referral is important in terms of having that passed by this body.
So through the chair, may I assume that while this is not a perfect solution to your problem, it's basically the only solution we have available in the short run is to use this individual?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0047.
Moved by legislator Rocco, seconded by legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0048.
Moved by legislator Tucciarello, seconded by legislator Quattro. Legislator Haney?
Mr. Chairman, I have one question about all 3 of these referrals, 48, 49, and 50. I mean, this is only the middle of January in the start of the capital budget and capital improvement program, and we're already making 3 significant amendments. Why, and these are not projects that are 48 and 49, I'm sorry, not 50. Why weren't these included in the discussion process, et cetera, that led to the adoption of the 2015 capital budget and capital improvement program?
Through the chairman, yes, sir. As I've explained both in this chamber and at the Monroe County Planning Board, the capital improvement program process for the county usually precedes anything that the FAA would want us to plan, or at least plan construction dollars for. The county's CIP process is 2 years to 18 months in advance, and the airport does its very best to program into the county CIP all of the projects that we know need to happen, but the when is very difficult to predict, especially when the FAA changes priorities. In the case of the airfield, in particular, as far as referral 0048, the FAA has changed the design features so that those projects have to be addressed as soon as possible because of those changing priorities. And they could change from year to year. We do our very best to program within the CIP, but the approved aviation improvement program, capital improvement program, that the FAA will grant us our entitled funds for are these projects that they want done. And we do once again, we do our very best to program them into the Monroe County CIP, but at time to time, these will change.
So through the chair, it's the FAA that basically is driving some of these projects that come up on relatively short notice?
Through the chair, I wouldn't use the term relatively short notice, or well, relative is a relative term, so possibly, but again, yes, the FAA will only grant entitlement funds for projects that they prioritize and that they believe are worthy of those entitlement funds. We can get into a discussion with them about what we think is a priority or not, but again, we do our very best. We go down to the airport district office and we go over these projects in great detail. And I do my very best to ensure the programming with the county CIP is aligned, but again, from time to time, they will not be in alignment.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0049.
Moved by legislator Quattro, seconded by legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0050.
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by legislator Draw. Legislator Rocco.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, through you to the administration, can you tell me how these allocations are determined by the clubs? So what, how the amounts are determined, how the allocations are determined?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman, they are determined based on a formula per mile. More heavily traveled trails get a higher dollar amount per mile, and less traveled get a lesser of a dollar amount. Does that answer your question?
Sure.
The total, through the chairman, the total funding is based on snowmobile registrations at New York State, and then they are funneled back to these clubs based on the mileage of the trails that they maintain.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item is, are there any other matters to come before this committee? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the last meeting of our committee, Mr. Chairman, we received the third quarter key indicator report. And about a week ago, I sent a letter to Mr. Franklin asking for some further information related to that report. And I was wondering if he could give us an update as to when I might expect a response.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Yes, I have prepared a response. I've had it proofread and discovered I have to make a couple grammatical corrections. So this body can expect a response, I would say, by the end of this week.
Thank you very much.
There being no further business, the January 28, 2015 meeting of the Ways and Means Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Ways and Means Committee is scheduled for Wednesday, February 25th, 2015 at 6 p.m. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.